Welcome to the HobbySchool podcast. Whether you're a seasoned hobbyist or just getting started, HobbySchool is the perfect place to learn something new. My name is Dr. Destiny Kopp, and I'm your host of the podcast. But before we jump into our episode for today, the only thing I ask is that if you enjoyed the episode, please share with a friend and give us an honest review on your favorite podcast platform. This helps us get out the content to more people. I also want to invite you to get on our wait list for our next Hobby School Online Learning Summit. These are free to attend, and you can find the link to join at hobbyschool.com, which is also in our podcast show notes. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. And my special guest today is Consie Sindet. Consie is a mixed media artist and teacher on her own creative journey. She has over 20 years of experience in teaching creativity. Before online classes were even a thing, she taught in-person art classes to hundreds of people. She is host of the Creative Playground membership, where she encourages her students to play, be curious, and let go of perfectionism. Concie, I am super excited to chat with you today. Before we get into all the questions I have for you, can you tell the good audience just a little bit more about you?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I have been an artist forever. I have tried everything you could possibly imagine as far as creativity, from all the way from face painting and body painting all the way to what I do today, which is teaching a lot of art journaling and junk journaling. Along the way, I have tried to stop being creative because I got overwhelmed, and creativity always finds its way back to me. I think that we're all creative and you can't let go of creativity. You just have to pivot and find the next thing that you want to be creative with and try. And yeah, I've been doing it for a very long time. I remember I've had someone ask recently what my first art memory was, because, I feel like I've been doing it since I was a itty bitty. And I remember making my parents draw pages of hearts so that I could color them in. It's been a long time that I've been a creative. It's just, the creative journey is winded around a lot.
Well, and I want to kind of dig into this with you. Before we started recording, we talked about your philosophy related to art, which I think is a little bit different from many people out there. But let's talk a little bit more about having this playful art practice. I know it's a little bit different from some traditional approaches that many of us may be familiar with, but tell us what you mean by that.
Sure. I think what I mean by playful art practice is that anything goes, and that you really have to go into it with a sense of childlike wonder. What can I try today? What would this do? How would this make this mark? How would this color mix with this? And try not to get too hung up in the rules of traditional art making. There is a place for going to art school and taking traditional art classes. Many of us just want to have an outlet with our creativity, and if you can let it be a sense of play and curiosity and what if, and I don't like, let's try and make it ugly today, let's try and make it messy today, let's embrace all of that stuff, then you know you really can just have joy and delight with your practice. When you would think about the way children play with art, and or with just their creative practices in general, they're never like deep diving into, well, does red and green work? They're just like, can I have red, can I have green? They put it on a page and they just go for it. And I think that's what I'm looking for. Like, what lights you up? What gives you joy? What brings you delight? Why do you laugh? What silly thing can you try today? And bring that all into your art practice, as opposed to trying to stick with rules and make it perfect. I think we want to be not regimented. If this is your hobby and this is supposed to be a delight, let's get the regimented part out and just play.
I love that. As you were thinking through that, I'm like, this fits me perfectly. And I don't really like following rules and I don't like following recipes. That's why I think I'm a really bad baker. I don't follow the recipe. I just throw things in there. Right. I love that. So let's talk about if somebody is really wanting to jump in and do this, but they don't know where to begin or might be overwhelmed. They've never done this before. Put myself in that category. I didn't do a lot of play and just be creative. So walk me through how somebody would get started.
Sure. I think you have to keep the supplies like three things that I tend to focus on. Well, there'll be a fourth, but three are all S's. So simple supplies, something like, children's watercolor kit or some colored pencils or even like Crayola markers or Crayola crayons. Small surfaces, a little small journal or a pad of Post-it notes. I can't think of anyone who doesn't have a pad of Post-it notes somewhere in their home. Short amounts of time, like 5 minutes at a time, will over time build a creative practice. If you were to say to me, I would love to start tomorrow, then I'd be like, okay, grab the smallest pad of paper you have in your space, grab a couple colored pencils, or it could be a ballpoint pen. It doesn't really matter. Put it by the coffee maker, and every morning while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, I want you to draw and doodle. It could be I'm making triangles. I'm just going to draw some circles. I'm just going to make dots all over the page. And then the next day, see what else you can do. One of the things that creativity does is it feeds off of itself. If you are doing something and you're like drawing circles all day, or not all day, but like that 5 minutes your coffee's brewing, you're going to start noticing everything that has a circle on it. And you might pick up a pair of earrings that have circles on it, or you find yourself on a phone call and you start doodling more circles. And so it starts to build on itself. The fourth thing I would say is to also be really careful with trying to do it every day. Like one of my favorite words is the word daily-ish. It doesn't have to be every day. It has to be a couple days a week. You do want to keep it consistent, but even if on Monday you did some doodling by your coffee, and then on Wednesday you grabbed some colored pencils and you're like, let me see what would happen if I make a rainbow with these colored pencils. All of those little things start to feed each other. You really start to recognize things around you. You might pick up something in a YouTube video or an Instagram post that you're all of a sudden, you're like, oh, look, they're making circles, but this time they put watercolor in it. And then you're off to the next thing. So really just starting simple, small, short amounts of time will get you to the next level.
And I love what you said about creativity, and it's just going to kind of like roller coaster right from there. I know that you have a membership called the Creative Playground. I'd love for you, not to give away all the stuff in there, but I'd love for you to kind of walk us through some of the things that you cover in there or that you encourage people to do that they might not have thought of doing.
It's very much what I just talked about, except I'm there. The playground is meant to offer all these different areas for you to try supplies and techniques. I'm a mixed media artist in that I'm not a watercolorist. I'm not an acrylic painter. I'm not a collage artist. I'm all of those things. I'm like the Jane of all trades when it comes to mixed media. I'm not perfect at all of them, but I love the idea of always trying something and seeing how maybe collage and colored pencil will work together. The membership is made to be, why I call it the playground, is because it allows you to jump around. I can try, if we want to use the playground, one day I'm going to be on the swing, and then the next day I'm going to be on the seesaw. And I want you to be able to then go, what if I did the seesaw, and then I found out I did this? And so I want you to take those different elements that you learn within the membership, all the different techniques and projects, and start to learn to make them your own. Because in the end, I'm not always there. I mean, we meet like 3 times a month live where there's lots of opportunity for me to interact with the group. But the in-between is where I want you to start pulling from the membership to feed your own creative practice. So there's a lot in the membership of how to do this for 5 minutes, or how to make your own rubber stamp, or how to use a jelly plate. And so it's teaching you all the skills and supplies, but it's also giving you a way to start playing with how to pull them all together for yourself. So it becomes your own creative practice.
And what I love about that is you get to try a lot of different things and figure out, okay, I like this, or maybe I didn't like this, or I love the way this turned out.
Yeah, that helps a lot. My biggest teaching is through art journaling, which is doing art within a handmade journal or a pre-bought journal, I should say, if you wanted to do it that way. And I loved I love the concept of that because the only thing you're dealing with is a piece of paper, and you can try things in your journal. If you don't like it or you love it, you just turn the page and try again or do something different. So, in the end, there's no like preciousness about it anymore because it's literally just paper. And when the journal's done, you can throw it away if you want to, or you can put it on a shelf and you can open another journal and just start playing again. It's really like taking the preciousness out of everything and just seeing what happens when it all comes down to that play and curiosity. What's going to happen if I do this on this page and then this happens? Oh, interesting. Hated that. Love that. Turn the page. Let's do more of the interesting. Let's maybe never do the thing I hated. And so you start to learn also, I feel, you learn about yourself. If you're paying attention, you start to learn about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, and you start to tap into your own intuition again, like how and which serves you in your life because we all want to know, what do we like? What do we don't like? And so if you can start to tap into it through your art practice, then it'll just filter out into your life.
And I love that. I think me personally, kind of the mindset block that I have when I start a project like that, I feel like if I mess up, I have to start all over. But the way you're teaching it, I would just keep going with it.
Yes, absolutely. That's the best thing about working in an art journal, or even better, a junk journal, which is right in the title. The journal is made of junk. It is the piece of paper that didn't come out of the printer correctly. Fold it and put some art on it. It's the receipt or some junk mail that came, and you put it all together and you start working on that. You even start taking the preciousness off of the paper because it was junk to begin with and was going in the garbage. So why not just put some paint on it or glue some collage on it and see what happens? So, yeah.
I love that. Consie, before we hang up here, do you have any last minute tips for the audience?
I would say you have to just start. You really, literally, I know it sounds crazy to say, grab a pen and a Post-it and start making circles, but you really have to start somewhere. And if that's how you start and then you move from there, that would be what I would tell you to do. Keep it as simple as you can. Keep it as simple, small, and short. And, just try. Daily-ish. One of the things I will tell people is that looking at Instagram or TikTok or wherever your choice of YouTube videos can be part of your daily-ish creative practice. However, you still at some point must pick up an art supply and put it on a surface. So if that's just a ballpoint pen or a pencil on a tiny piece of paper sitting next to your coffee maker, know that that is a creative practice because everybody has to start somewhere. Just remember, all of us that you've seen online started somewhere. If your way in is to make circles with a pen on a Post-it, do that.
You can get inspiration from other places, Instagram, YouTube, somebody's website. But really, the joy that you're going to get is you actually doing the work yourself.
Absolutely.
Great message for everybody today. Now, I want to let people know where they can find you, and I will definitely make sure all the links are in the show notes here. But can you let the audience know a little bit more about your free gift that you have for them and the places where they can go to find you online?
Sure. My website is called Atop Serenity Hill. That's my home base. I do a lot of free tutorials on YouTube. So if you're looking to get inspired, that would be a good place to go. Instagram is a place that I hop onto once in a while. YouTube is probably a better place to find me. And the free gift I have for everybody is a way for you to pick up that Post-it note and a pen. And it's called 3 Simple Ways to Start a Daily-ish Creative Practice. In the little free class, I give you all the printables to print out a journal, have the prompts, give you some collage paper so that you literally have no excuse. You literally follow me along and build a tiny little journal. I show you how to work in the tiny little journal. I show you how to use prompts for your tiny little journal, and it will absolutely get you started on a creative practice.
Wonderful. And Consie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your wonderful creative knowledge with everybody.
Thank you so much, Destiny. It was great to be here.
Thank you so much for listening today. Don't forget to sign up for the waitlist so you'll be the first to know when our next free Hobby School online learning summit launches. The link is in the show notes for this episode, or you can go to hobbyschool.com and that hobby school with school without an H in it. Talk soon.